Welcome to the Show Me the Way podcast. I am your host, Andrea Miller, and I'm so excited to bring this show to you. Show Me the Way is a podcast dedicated to exploring the journeys of those who have faced adversity and found themselves on unexpected paths. We will have meaningful, thoughtful conversations about challenges we have faced and how we discovered and forged new direction. Prepare to be inspired and to uncover your own strength as you listen to relatable and motivating stories. Life has a way of twisting and turning, and we often need a fresh perspective to understand how to navigate. Let's show each other the way. Welcome back to the Show Me the Way podcast. We have had some amazing guests for season 2. It has been so much fun. We're already into June. Come September, we will have finished our second season. That is crazy. I can't even believe how amazing this whole ride has been. We've had so many great guests, so many awesome listeners, so much positive feedback. We've had referrals from listeners, we've had referrals from guests, and it's just been great. But I was a little short of guests this week. So again, you're going to hear from me, the host, Andrea Miller. I am going to share some reflection and just talk about where we've gone, where we're going. Just kind of every once in a while, I like to jump in and do a reflection like this. So it works out that I didn't have a guest in line. And so, yeah, you're going to hear from me today. Hopefully you are on board and you like what I have to say. And yeah, I hope this beginning of summer finds all of you really well. I hope that you've had a chance to listen to a lot of the awesome season 2 episodes. I just dropped my first second time guest on an episode last week. Brenda Mara, she shared once again. You've heard from me more than once. You've heard from my son Nathan more than once. You've heard from my sister Tony, and then she was on a special Mother's Day podcast episode. But Brenda's the first guest that came back to give us an update on how she and her daughter Renna are doing. So please go ahead and listen to that. And if you didn't listen to her the first time, go back to season 1. Just look up Brenda Mara on my website, andreamiller.co, or you can go find it wherever you listen to your podcasts. It was season 1, episode 40. And then I just dropped her new episode last week. So let's jump in. I've got some things that I want to talk about, but thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being part of the Show Me the Way community. Okay, so as I mentioned, you're going to hear from me today, the host, Andrea Miller. I'm excited to share some thoughts. It won't be one of your longer episodes, but I definitely wanted to pop in and make sure that I'm keeping up with my consistency. I want all of my listeners to expect a new podcast episode to drop every single week. I did not have a guest this week. I've got a couple of great ones lined up and people that are ready to talk to me in a few weeks or so. But this week I didn't have anybody lined up. So I thought I'm going to jump in. I don't want to skip a week. I don't want there to be a time that you are not shown the way or you weren't given some perspective or you weren't inspired to share your story. So let's start there. Before we even jump in, just a reminder that I'm always looking for guests. I strongly believe everybody has a story. Every single person has a story. Some are different than others. Some are more dramatic. Some might be just a couple of subtle changes that you've gone through in your life, but there's always perspective to be learned. And I know that once I start talking with someone, there's always something for them to share and for our listeners to learn from. So if this is you, if you really would love to share your story or you know of somebody that you think would be great for this podcast, please, please, please connect us. You can go to my website. You can write a review. You can reach out to me. You can find me on Instagram. There's a Show Me the Way podcast page on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook. It's me, Andrea Fusco Miller. So I've got a lot of different ways that you can connect with me. If you've got my phone number, you can connect us over text, whatever works best for you. I also just recently started a Show Me the Way podcast newsletter using Substack. So if you are a guest or a potential guest and you have received that newsletter, yay, I hope you stick with me. I hope you stay subscribed. And if you're a listener and you're like, oh, I want to be part of this, please just let me know. Once again, find me on the Show Me the Way podcast Instagram. That's probably the easiest way to connect with me. You can send me a direct message or you can comment on one of my posts and I will put you onto that newsletter subscription. So you'll be the first to know when a new episode drops. You'll get some insights about those episodes and the guests, and we'll just keep growing this community. So lots of ways to connect, lots of ways to be part of Show Me the Way. And I'm hoping that this is inspiring you to either tell your story or have someone else that you know share theirs. I have been told it can be a therapy session for the person sharing. And then the last couple of episodes, I've actually commented that it's been more of a therapy session for me. I get so much perspective, so much good advice from my guests, and it's been nothing but a positive experience, that's for sure. Okay, I've said a couple of times on this podcast that I don't say that it is a faith filled, God focused podcast. It is not a Christian podcast. However, I am Christian. I have had a lot of guests on here that share a lot of beliefs, and we often bring God in because I don't know about you, but it's very hard to pivot or make a change or find a time in your life where you've had to turn left instead of right. You've had to face adversity and you don't really know what to do. And when I don't know what to do, I try to remind myself that God is in control and there is a power above me, higher than me, a God that created me, put me here, set me on this path. And if I'm not sure which direction I'm going, I know that God is standing right next to me to hold my hand and to help guide me. So that has been a big part of our season 1 and season 2 episodes. I wasn't sure how much that would play a part, but it's very, very certain if you start listening that God is with me even when I'm doing this podcast. In fact, you've heard me say a couple of times, I started calling this the Show Me the Way podcast because that used to be my prayer all the time. God, show me the way, show me the way, show me the way. When I felt lost, when my son was given his diagnosis of Duchenne muscular dystrophy, which is the reason behind this podcast, that was the biggest piece of adversity, the biggest pivot I've ever had to deal with and face and take. My husband and I and my other son thought we were going in one direction. When we received that diagnosis, all four of us were headed in another direction. And any plan, any 5, 10, 15-year plan that I had set forth was thrown out the window. And I was quickly reminded that we have to give it to God. We have to have faith in God, and tomorrow's not promised. So we got to do what we can with today. And so I started the podcast so that I could share the story of our journey and encourage others to share similar stories or other opportunities that they had to make a decision or that they had to, like I said, turn left instead of right. And it's just been a great experience. So, yeah, when I was faced with that diagnosis, I really was in a dark place for a long time, and I needed to pray. I needed to find where my strength was. I needed to find where I was supposed to be. I knew deep in my heart that now I was going to be a caregiver. I was not going to be the same corporate employee that I had been for all of the years before that. Everything that I had planned for was going to change. So I kept praying, God, show me the way, show me the way, show me the way. I felt very disconnected, very far from my path, very far from my relationship with God. And I quickly realized that, yeah, He's going to be there with me, but I have to also kind of pave the way and find my direction as well. And none of that would have taken place if I didn't have faith. Again, not everybody feels the same, but I definitely have brought that into this podcast. And it's been a very nice addition to what I'm trying to do with the Show Me the Way podcast. So I want to start today. I was trying to take some notes so that I don't just babble on. And I thought, what is the main purpose? What are some themes that I've seen throughout season 2? I know one of the biggest things was to talk about our village, to talk about who's there for us. And I'm very quickly reminded that God is always there for us. One of the big things I would like to remind myself is I have to give it all to God. I have to trust in God. Those are two very important things for me. I don't know about you. I tend to be quite the type A personality. My family would agree. I've met some very type A personalities that are even more so than myself since I became an adult, but I do like things a certain way. I just spent My parents are coming in town and I just spent like 2 whole days cleaning my house. I like things to be in a certain place. And when you are like that, you tend to say, I can control things. I can control things. And as soon as you start thinking that way, that's when God reminds me, you are not in control, girl. You need to put your trust in me. When I get really overwhelmed, when I get stressed, that's when I have to pause and say, I am not in control. When somebody responds or reacts a certain way to something that I did or said, I start to spiral and I have to remind myself God is in control. So that's been something I've been really trying to focus on. I'm not very good at it, but I'm a work in progress, as I always say. And so today I thought I want to be inspired for today's episode by this item, by this element, by this piece that I'm trying to fix. And I sometimes I'll go onto Instagram or on any social media or website and I will find a quote, or I'll find a little graphic that speaks to me, and I'll save it in my phone. And so this morning I went through all the different things that I had saved, and I found this, and I thought it really would hit correctly today. It would really go in line with what I'm trying to speak to you on. So I'm going to start with a scripture from Psalm 55, verse 22. Even when life feels heavy, God is your strength. He will carry you when you cannot walk and lead you to a place of peace. I thought that was very relevant to the way that I've been thinking. I should say the way I always think. Every time life feels heavy, every time I get very overwhelmed or stressed, right now it seems to be thinking about Nathan going into his senior year of high school, graduating, and the next steps. That seems to be the big thing on my mind these days. I need to remember that God is my strength and he'll carry me. If I can't walk, it's just like that footsteps poem that my husband really loves, that we actually have on a sign hanging up in our living room, that when you only saw one set of footprints in the sand when you were walking through life, it's because that's when Jesus said that he picked up the person. And that's how I feel. I feel that if I ever feel extremely overwhelmed, feel like I can't get through, feel like I can't think about another thing, or I will completely spiral out of control, I need to remember that God is there. I always picture, when I say a prayer, I always picture him sitting on my shoulder. Thank you for being on my shoulder, or looking over my shoulder. So thank you, God, for always being there, never giving up. He never gives up on us. And there's been many times he could have easily given up on me. But as long as you remember that and you know that he's your strength, he's going to carry you. He's going to bring you to a place, maybe not the peace that you're completely in this joyful state of bliss, but at least in a place where you're not spiraling. So I really liked that psalm. It's something I'll keep in my phone, but I wanted to start today's podcast with that. So yeah, like I said, it's a reflection. So I'm going to talk about some of the episodes we've had, but I also just really want to talk about some things that are on my mind too. And I appreciate you still listening, even when it's not a special guest and it's just me talking. So let's see. Another reason I'm happy to do today's episode is because I've got some exciting things coming up. And again, I need to remember that God is my strength and he's going to carry me, because I've got some things coming up. First of all, I love this time of the year. It's one of my favorite times of the year. It's a beautiful time where everything's green. The sun is out. Actually has been just gorgeous in Michigan. We've had a little bit of rain, but just gorgeous weather, not too much humidity, which I love. Some people would say, oh, it's a little chilly, but I will take it. No humidity, and the sun's out and everything's green, and I enjoy a walk with my dog. This is just the most beautiful time. I mean, I love the fall, but this is just so beautiful right now, how it is exactly right now. And it's also June. It's my favorite month because it's my birthday month. And my family will laugh that I've always made a big deal out of my birthday month. And yes, I'm getting older. I am getting closer to the big 50. Yes, I will admit that, but I still love to celebrate my birthday. Now, I've told everybody I don't want a 50th birthday party. So this is not an open invitation to set up a 50th birthday party in a couple of years. No, do not want that. But I do love celebrating my birthday, at least saying, yay, it's my birthday. And celebrating all the other June birthdays too. So if your birthday falls in June, happy extra special birthday month for you as well. I always was totally taken care of for my birthday because it's such a great time of the year. We would have pool parties, we would have barbecues. It was when we were on vacation. And this year, no different. I'm going on vacation again. So the reason I said that it's important for me to remember that God is my strength is because, as many of you know, Nathan will be headed to Muscular Dystrophy Association camp next week. Take him in a couple of days. And for the first time since he's gone to this camp, my husband and I are actually going to go out of the state. Usually we use this opportunity to take time to hang out with one another, spend time with one another, rejuvenate our relationship, because we don't do that very often throughout the year. Most of the year is revolved around what Nathan needs, and we never want to be away from him. In fact, it's hard for us to even go to a restaurant without him for a couple of hours because we're concerned he's going to need us. That's a little over the top probably because he usually does really well. He's great all day at school, but we still have this mentality. And he has been going to camp for, I think this is his 5th year. And every year we usually make special plans. So we've gone up north a couple of times in Michigan. We have stayed home and did some extra special things. Last year, we ended up going to a Tigers game with a lot of friends. And we just spent a lot of time together during this week. But this year, 2026, is my husband and my 25th wedding anniversary in October. It is my birthday next week. And so my husband said, let's go. We're going to go out of town. We're going to go back to Las Vegas. We haven't been there since 2019. It used to be something we would do together often because it's very easy to take a quick trip and really enjoy yourselves. And I get the sun in the pool and he gets to gamble if he wants. And we just have a really good time enjoying shows and the beautiful restaurants. And so we're very excited. He convinced me we are leaving on Monday. So we drop Nathan off Sunday and we leave on Monday. I will be 4 hours flight away from him or more. And I'm a little nervous about it, I will admit, but I am very excited to have this focus time with my husband in a place that we both love. I can't wait to enjoy the sun. It'll be a lot warmer there than it is in Michigan right now. And yes, we'll be far away, but we've got a community here that can help if we need it. My family will be in town. My older son is here. And they're just a phone call away and we're just a flight away in case there's any kind of an emergency. But I am going to give it to God. I'm going to trust God. He's going to take care of Nathan. He's going to watch over him. He's going to bless the people that are taking care of him. And I just have a strong feeling that everything is going to go just as we need it to. And if not, God is going to be there for us. So I'm really trying to remember that. I can't wait. I'm excited. I think it'll be just so nice for my husband and me to have just dedicated time with one another. He's been a little stressed at work, so it will be great to have him step away and just enjoy his favorite place as well. So that's happening. I wanted to share about that. And then I also kind of wanted to do a little reflection, like I talked about. I just dropped a great episode from Brenda Mara. I want you to go listen to it. She focused on what we can do and not what we can't. So that's a good reminder for next week as well, because when Nathan's away from us, he is much more independent. There's so much he can do that I don't always allow him to do, or I always say, I can just do it. Let me take care of you. Let me do that. That's my personality. That's my nature. But I know that he's going to be great next week. And then I also kind of wanted to talk about a couple other things while I'm reflecting on previous episodes. So I also want you to go back and listen to the episodes from Haley, Connie, Jody, and Dina. The four women shared grief. They shared the loss of loved ones, either their children, their husband, or their significant other, very close boyfriend, somebody that was soon to become a fiance. So I know those episodes are difficult to listen to. Sometimes when people will say, "What should I go listen to? What should I go listen to?" I don't always send them right there because they're heavy and they're tough and they deserve a little bit of a disclaimer because you might find yourself reaching for a tissue when you listen to these heartfelt stories. But what I really love about the four of those episodes and those four women is that they really do teach us that life is short. You never know what's ahead. You never know how long you have. It's another great reason to take the trip. So I'm glad that we're doing that. It's another great reason to send your 16-year-old son to a camp where, yes, he will be away from us, but where he can be independent and just find so much joy. You don't know what tomorrow brings. Nothing is promised. That is one of the main reasons I started this podcast, because that is totally what Nathan has taught me. I have a tattoo that says today, not tomorrow, reminding me and everyone around me that you need to focus on today. So please go back and listen to those episodes for that great perspective. And again, a good reminder to take the trip. I want to talk about an episode I dropped 2 weeks ago by Noreen Russell. She reminded us to go after our joy. Everything is figure outable. Again, that goes along with what I'm doing next week as well. We will definitely find joy. Nathan will find the joy. We will find the joy. My older son will be here working, taking care of the dog, and he'll be having time with my parents, but I know that he will still go after the joy because I keep telling everybody he's been living his best life no matter how busy he is. But yeah, I taught Noreen the phrase everything is figure outable. That's something that Nathan and I talk about all the time. I will not say that I coined that phrase, but we did learn it from I actually learned it from a previous guest from season 1, Courtney 9. So she taught me that first. We were part of a multi-level marketing organization together, and I heard her say it on one of our calls, and I thought that is amazing. I've since read a book about it, and I've shared many podcast episodes where I've reminded people that Nathan and I try to remind ourselves of that all the time. Everything is figure outable. So I taught that to Noreen. She really loved it. She grabbed a hold of it and mentioned it 3 or 4 times on the episode. But she had a rough time with her older son. She had a hard time getting pregnant, and then he had a lot of health issues. She has since done so many amazing things with him and with her daughter. And now they are teenagers and they just keep doing bigger and better things. And he's moving on, going to college, graduating high school. And she's just so proud of them. And her face is just full of joy during the entire conversation. So she reminded me of that as well. And then I did talk to a couple of people again that reminded me that life is not promised or that you can have a health scare at any time. So the episodes with Christine, Sarah, Chip, and Tyler, we are reminded that sometimes even when we feel we're at our healthiest or we are as strong as can be, sometimes a hiccup happens. And all four of them went through heart issues. And all four of them were pretty active and busy and doing a lot with work when this happened. So it was something that none of them expected. But if you listen to any of their episodes, again, they faced adversity. They faced something they did not expect. They faced something that they thought would just happen to other people, not to them. And the perspective that they learned from it, it's huge. So please go back and listen to those episodes. They talked about their village, and some of them even talked about the faith that they had. Tyler was very strong in that. And it was just great perspective. Today, not tomorrow. You never know what tomorrow brings. So you've got to go after it. Run the race, move to another state, plan your wedding, get married again, focus on your children, whatever you need to do to find your joy. I say go after it. So again, we're reminded. That's why I need to take the trip next week. And then the last reflection I really wanted to take was on an episode, I think 3 drops ago with Jennifer. She focused on, to the point where I even put it in the title of her episode, that God is our strength. So everything goes back to that psalm that I shared at the beginning, Psalm 55, God is your strength. He will carry you when you cannot walk and lead you to a place of peace. We were strongly reminded of that with Jennifer's episode as well. So there's so many good ones for you to go back and listen to or to share with others. We all face adversity. We all face times in our lives where we did not expect the path to go that way, but it squiggled and turned or went left instead of right or took a fork. And we had to go one way. We had to make a decision and it changed so many other things. So I just want to use this quick little reflection episode as an opportunity to remind you that you're not alone, for one, that if you do have faith and you believe in God as I do, that He is with you. He's going to carry you. He's standing next to you. He's there for you during the good and the bad. And it's just such a great reminder and such a great feeling. It's so peaceful knowing that no matter what I go through, I've got that. And then also, again, what I try to focus on with season 2 is just the village and the people and the community and those that you were able to lean on, those that you were able to depend on. It really makes me think a lot of another friend that I brought up a couple episodes ago. She is battling breast cancer right now. She's currently going through all of her treatment. It is scary. It is unknown. She's a little bit more like me in terms of a type A personality. So she's quickly realizing there's so much that she can't control and that every day she has with her relatively new husband and her beautiful children, it's just all so important and so valuable to take time and to reflect on how we have to take advantage of our time together and the love that we have in the communities and the village and the support that we have. She and I recently talked a lot about asking for help and being okay with that because people do want to help our village and our people do want to help when we need them. And I really do pray and hope that she also abides by her faith and understands that God is her strength during this difficult time. So I wanted to bring that up because that's just another reminder back to Psalm 55. That's just another reminder for me. And it's something that we just have to keep telling ourselves. So yeah, the Show Me the Way podcast was set up because I wanted to share Nathan's story and our story and how we had a plan for life and it just completely changed at the drop of a hat at the moment that we received that diagnosis, everything changed in our lives. And we needed to reflect and we needed to determine how we were going to move forward in the best possible way. And since then, Nathan has taught my husband, me, my older son, and everyone that he's around perspective and that life is short. You've got to go after things today. You shouldn't wait for that trip. You need to go after your joy and you need to shine your light. And he has shown that. And so I wanted to share his story and then open a platform for everyone else to share theirs as well. And before I end off, I know you listen to me a lot, but before I end off, I just want to remind all of you that I do have a new subscription element for the Show Me the Way podcast. If you would like to be the first to hear about new episodes, to really understand the background behind all of our guests and where we're coming from with this show and what we're trying to do, I would love for you to be part of the subscription community that I'm trying to create. So please head to the Show Me the Way podcast and please head to the Show Me the Way podcast Instagram, send me a direct message, and I will add you to this list. If there's other ways that you know how to reach out to me, plus I'll put this in the show notes, I'll put my email, I'll put that Instagram link. Please just reach out and let me know that you want to be part of that amazing community, because it's just going to keep getting better. I know it. And again, if you have a story, if you want to share your story, if it's time for you to be showcased on this podcast, please reach out. Please let me know. Or if you're thinking about someone, if you were a guest previously or you've been listening for a while and you can think of someone that needs to also share their story, please connect us. Again, through the Show Me the Way Instagram, my email link that I'll share in the show notes, or if you've got other ways to communicate with me, you can connect them that way. I would love to meet them. Facebook, you can text me. Whatever works. I would love to meet them and have them on the show. It's a coffee talk, casual conversation. It's not live currently. And currently I only show tidbits of the video that is recorded, but in general, drop the audio recording. So the person doesn't even have to do their makeup if they don't want to. If the woman doesn't want to do her hair, she could just show up and be a guest. And I try to make my guests feel extremely comfortable sharing their stories. So would love to hear from you or from them and make that happen. And yeah, we're just trying to show the way. I just love doing this podcast. I do other things in life. I'm a realtor. I take care of my son. I try to take care of our household and our family as best I can. I'm constantly doing things. I'm constantly busy, but one of my biggest passions is sharing this podcast with you, allowing God and me to show you the way and have you show me the way, and creating a safe place for you to share your story, creating a safe community for listeners to listen and feel like they are not alone, like other people have gone through similar things, or even if not similar, they've gone through adversity and they've found the joy, they've found the light on the other side. And it's just been such a joy and such a pleasure to be able to put this together for you, to speak what's on my heart, to be authentic and genuine with all of you, and to allow you to do the same. So I hope this podcast has meant something for you. I hope it continues to mean something for you. I love that I've got a lot of listeners that continue to listen every single week. If you come across an episode that you really think you need to share with others, please help us grow the community. We can only keep going up from here. And I know that there's a lot more stories to share. If you like what you hear, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or on my website, andreamiller.co. There's a place to leave reviews there. Again, that helps the show grow. And I'm just so ecstatic that you're still here. We're still showing each other the way, and let's keep on going. Thank you for joining me for the Show Me the Way podcast. I truly appreciate you tuning in to today's episode about overcoming adversity and finding your path. I hope it brought you new insights, empowered you with perspective, and inspired you to find joy in your journey. If this episode touched your heart, don't forget to leave a quick review, as it will help us reach and motivate more people. Until next time, keep seeking the light and showing the way.